By Delta Airlines, official airline of Madison Square Garden. And by Citibank, the city never sleeps.
Looks like it'll be the 46th consecutive sellout at Madison Square Garden. And right now they'll listen to Mike Walshevsky as he introduces the Hertz starting lineups, which you will hear in MSG Sports Stereo.
First for the Pistons. At guard at 6'3" from McNeese State, number 4, Joe Dumars. At guard at 6'1" from Indiana, number 11, Isiah Thomas. At forward at 6'9" from Nevada Reno, number 12, David Wood. At forward at 6'8" from Arizona, number 32, Sean Elliott. At center at 6'10" from Michigan, number 6, Terry Mills.
Let's go, baby.
The trainer is Kevin Kaser. The trainer is Tony Harris. Assistant coaches Brendan Malone, Walt Barron, and John Hammond. And the head coach, Don Cheney. Injured and not playing today, Olden Polynice. University, number 4, Anthony Bonner. At forward at 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, co-captain Charles Oakley. And at center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, co-captain Patrick Ewing. The head trainer is Mike Saunders. The assistant trainer, Tim Walsh. Assistant coaches Dick Carter and Chip Van Gundy. And the head coach of the Knicks, Pat Riley.
Well, Pat Riley's center Patrick Ewing looking to go for a 5th straight game with 30 or more points. That would tie a Knick record set 3 times by Bernard King. In the last game, he shot 16 of 31 from the floor, 17 of 52 for the rest of the entire team. We talked to Pat Riley about it.
It's no different. I mean, you know, people have criticized this offense for what it is, and we are a team that is power post oriented. The only offense that I've ever ran was this kind of offense, and it has translated into a lot of wins. And as long as you got a great one down in the post, you got to pretty much go to him as much as you can to see how the defense is going to react, and balance it off with what else you do for your catch and shoot players. So I would assume that today that it wouldn't be much different than it has been since I've been here.
Any coach listening to Pat can only envy Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Los Angeles for Pat Riley and Patrick Ewing in New York. He's gotten used to greatness in the middle, Al.
Yes, he is. We are underway at the Garden with Greg Anthony guarded by Isiah Thomas. Starks guarded by Dumars, and David Wood, starting for only the 2nd time this season, helps lead to a New York Knicks turnover. Knicks playing without the services of Rolando Blackman today. He'll serve a 1-game suspension and pay a $2,000 fine for throwing a punch at David Wood of the Pistons in Thursday night's Knicks win.
Rolando very sensitive to his back, felt it was one of those instinctive moves by him, and Anthony Bonner gets things going for the Knicks.
So it's 2-2, and I thought Wood was pretty much of a stand-up guy. Said he apologized right away and said he felt bad about the way the situation turned.
As was Rolando.
Yes.
Al, the danger in this game now, it's one of those situations again where anybody who follows the game says, oh, automatic win for the Knicks. Detroit has all kinds of problems. The Knicks are home, so it looks like an easy win for the Knicks. However, with the lineup that has Isiah Thomas and Joe Dumars in it and the capable Sean Elliott, you'd never know. It's one of those very dangerous games for the Knicks. They've got to stay focused.
Inside for Greg Anthony, who hits for a 3, and the Knicks have a 5-2 lead in the opening minutes of play in the first quarter at the Garden. Isiah Thomas, guarded by Anthony. He finds some room to get inside and draws the foul. Here's the story on Rolando's suspension. One game, that's today, and signed $2,500 and fined $2,500 by the NBA for throwing the punch. He banged me in the back, he said, and you know how I feel about my, I'll fill in the surgery repaired back in parentheses. Thomas hits the first free throw. Thomas returning to the Pistons on Thursday night. Pistons show some pressure. That was part of their successful third quarter formula to get back into the game on Thursday. Oakley's pass slapped out of bounds.
Detroit Pistons today are playing for their pride. One thing that could help restore their pride is a win here today. Having lost 11 straight, they are down, down, down.
Starks throws the pass low to Anthony Bonner. A little too low. He's over the end line.
Greg Anthony did a good job in Detroit the other night, staying in front of Isiah. So Isiah in the third quarter got a little crazy with those three-point shots, as he's capable of doing.
Mills tried to force it inside to Thomas. Off him and out of bounds. And here's David Wood stealing the inbound. Lapse between Oakley and Anthony, and it's a Pistons lead. Anthony breaks free and gets fouled.
Well, that crossover dribble of Greg certainly left Isiah in the dust. Greg coming down the middle after going to that crossover move. Got to give him a good feeling when you can blow by an Isiah Thomas, who is, despite now his 13th year in the league, only 32 years of age. So he's not exactly rickety out there.
Greg Anthony scored 11 Thursday. That snapped a string of 3 straight single-digit point games. He's already had a three-pointer in the game here today, so he's got 5 now. Knicks up 1, just under 10 remaining in the first quarter. Dumars off the David Wood screen. Bonner with the rebound. Ewing has not scored. He's guarded by Mills. Now Oakley open as Anthony. Takes his second three-pointer. He's 1 for 2 from out there. Mills the rebound. Outlet Dumars. Recaptured by Starks. John Starks for 3. Up 4.
John happy to be back here. He wants to recapture the touch. At 3 for 15 the other night. He certainly wasn't himself.
Joe Dumars gets his first field goal in the 2 games so far. The leading scorer for the Pistons at 17 a game without a field goal Thursday. Ewing's on the score sheet.
Fans might be interested to know that Patrick Ewing was out here this morning at 10 o'clock with assistant coach Jeff Van Gundy working on his shooting.
David Wood goes down hard. Traveling on the play as well. Joe Dumars took too many.
You can see early now that the Pistons are going to go to Dumars and get him the ball as much as possible to try and loosen him up.
And speaking of Patrick, John, there's his run over the 4 games. What types of shooting moves and things were they working on? With Jeff Van Gundy today. What were they doing?
Jump shooting mainly. That's what he loves the most.
Ewing draws a double team.
3-second violation.
And it is a 3-second violation against the Knicks. 4 turnovers by New York and 3 for Detroit. And we're only 4 minutes into the game. Mills backing in on Ewing. 10 on the 24-second clock. Thomas and Dumars, just about all that's left of the championships, and they team up for 2.
Dumars again. He's forcing a bit, but as we said at the outset, Al, he's just too good to be contained. And the Pistons are giving him a chance. They're really going to Joe Dumars.
Down low. Anthony to Bonner. He's got a hoop, and he got fouled.
Bonner scored the hoop, but you know who feels better? Greg Anthony. He set him up perfectly. Greg getting around Isiah and made it quite easy for Bonner to go in for that shot.
So Anthony draw 4 Piston defenders with that one step into the lane. Anthony Bonner always an adventure at the free throw line. Oakley gets the follow, and now all 5 Knicks starters have scored.
Well, it's usually Oakley that springs the ball loose for a Ewing finish, but it was a role reversal there as Patrick kept that ball alive for Charles.
Isiah Thomas off the rim on the 3-point attempt. Nick Ball. Greg Anderson checking in for Detroit. David Wood is gone. Anthony using the Oakley screen. Now he's guarded by Terry Mills. Goes on by him and drops it in. Smartly done by Greg Anthony.
Well, once there was a switch and he had the big man on him, that was the green light. Greg knowing he could beat him off the dribble.
Terry Mills. Ewing again draws a crowd. Anthony whips it back for Ewing. Who sees Oakley? Who sees Bonner? Who sees Oakley?
Soft defense by the Pistons, just allowing the Knicks to move that ball closer with each pass. No challenging of the passes.
Loose ball scooped up by Anthony. Knicks on the move. Anthony turns on the speed, lays it off for Bonner, who lost it. Intercepted by Starks. He'll go for 3. Rebounded by Anderson. Thomas cuts away from Anthony, and it's intercepted by Bonner. Turnovers galore. Starks. Oakley intercepted. It's Thomas with Ewing back.
Isiah had a 2-on-1 with Joe Dumars against Ewing, and Isiah just can't resist shooting the basketball.
There'll be a timeout on the floor with 5:26 remaining in a turnover-filled first quarter. Knicks up 8. Leading the Knicks. Ewing. Ewing over Anderson. Tipped up by Bonner at the expiration of the 24-second clock. Knicks had lost a few ticks on the clock, waiting for the timeout. Here Starks.
The Knicks are very sharp playing the passing lanes of Detroit. They're jumping in front of intended receivers and have already caused a couple of turnovers and turned them into points.
It's a 10-2 run by the Knicks and a 10-point lead. Thomas and Dumars. In and out. Boy, they leave Sean Elliott totally out of the mix for long stretches, don't they? Elliott has not scored. Hasn't even taken a shot.
Now, the story is that Don Chaney, when he came to Detroit, tried to change the Pistons into a running team. That's the kind of
Oakley all alone.
offense you'd like to see as Charles draws that foul after getting that bullet pass from Greg. Anthony, with the movement of the Knicks, he sees Oakley, who put the arms up. So important for the receiver to put the arms up to tell the passer he wants the ball. Another example of the Knicks playing the passing lane. Greg Anthony jumping right in with those active hands, and that made it easy for John Starks. But the Pistons wanted or intended to become a running team this year, which would suit the talents of Sean Elliott, who came over here with the Rodman move, Rodman going to San Antonio. And it just hasn't worked because they just can't get enough rebounding in order to ignite a running game, which really hurts Sean Elliott, who's a very talented player. He'll have much better times ahead, but he's been very quiet this season.
Charles Oakley gives the Knicks a 12-point lead. You saw Lindsey Hunter, the Pistons point guard of the future, check into the game. Sort of hard to believe when you're shooting 50%, you're down 12 in the opening quarter. It'll be Pistons ball. There's Lindsey Hunter, who got some extended minutes with the injuries to Isiah Thomas, and he responded well. He was averaging almost 14 points a game with Thomas out.
Well, Cadillac Anderson got the position, got the ball, and no problem for the 6'10 Anderson.
Ewing again on the double team. Back to Ewing goes Anthony. Almost spectacularly followed by Oakley. Just missed the timing by a little bit. Dumars. This one Oakley has. Starks. Got it. Reverse. Oh, beautiful.
Charles Oakley threw the long bomb, and John Starks took it that extra step.
Oh, hey, Joe.
The Knicks in scoring. The free throw that was taken by Greg Anderson, Joe Dumars rather, did go in.
Well, the strip by the Knicks, that was John Starks.
And Derek Harper is fouled as he proceeded to the midcourt line. Foul is by Sean Elliott, his first. Allen Houston, the second part of this backcourt of the future for Detroit, enters the game. He replaces Joe Dumars. So it's Anderson, Mills, and Elliott, Houston, and Hunter. Ewing again draws two. For a moment, three defenders. Oakley with a beautiful soar to the hoop.
Once that double team takes place, it distorts the defense unless it's a really finely tuned defense. So Ewing getting the double team threw everybody off, and it opened the way for Oakley to come right in.
Sean Elliott takes his first shot of the game. It took him 11+ minutes to get it. Harper in traffic. Gets an Oakley pick. Starks for three. Mason with the follow. Oh, Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley getting it done inside. 30 seconds to go.
Well, the Knicks are playing home. They're on a roll. They're a different team, but part of the reason they're doing what they are today is they've just got more fire than the Pistons.
Allen Houston.
Don Chaney respects the shooting ability of Allen Houston. What he'd like to see him do, he was telling me the other night, is get that jump shot off a little bit quicker. If he does, he'll be one of the game's outstanding jump shooters.
Starks letting it go. He's missed two in a row. Last shot. Into the seats. That'll do it for the first quarter here at the Garden. The Knicks ended up 13 over the Pistons, who've lost 11 in a row.
Your senses.
New York Knicks basketball is brought to you in part by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok there are no boundaries. By the United States Postal Service Priority Mail. We deliver for you. And by Mobil 1. It keeps your engine running like new.
Rookie Allen Houston checking into the Pistons lineup a few minutes ago. His rookie year has seen him shoot less than 40% and average less than 6. But boy, were things different when he was a volunteer at Tennessee, where with that hoop in a game against Syracuse, he overtook Nick fave Ernie Grunfeld as the all-time leading scorer. Ernie in the years 73 to 77 with 22.49. Houston went on to score a bunch more, leaving Tennessee with 28.01.
Ernie played 4 years. Bernard King down the list, also one of their all-time scorers, played 3 years. And boy, were they great together.
Greg Anderson's shot is off, and we're underway in the second quarter at MSG. Anthony Mason up front with Herb Williams and Charles Oakley, Derek Harper, and John Starks in the backcourt for the Knicks. Oakley's pass is tipped by Anderson, and the Knicks will have 14 on the 24-second clock. Knicks led by as many as 15, and the first quarter up by 13. solid performances by Greg Anthony and John Starks in leading the Knicks offensively. 6 on the 24-second clock. Starks lets it go, followed by Williams with a soft touch. Knicks now match their biggest lead, and it's thrown out of bounds.
Seems when the Pistons big men under the Knicks basket don't get it going their way, they kind of retreat. They don't keep working and challenging and lashing back when the Knicks big men get that basketball.
Marcus Liberty has started the second quarter for Detroit. Harper, the back pass for Oakley. Liberty and Macon are almost totally forgotten men currently by Don Chaney. Starks, powerful move, shot is blocked. Here's Harper. Mason. Finally Mills. It will be Detroit ball. Alvin Robertson sent to the Denver Nuggets. Liberty and Macon coming here. They've both been piling up some DNPs lately. Mills way off. And Liberty knocks it out of Oakley's hands. Knick ball. Well, you can see without Dumars and Isiah Thomas, the offense of Detroit is extremely inconsistent. There's no real zip to it. Starts for Herb Williams. Oakley. Derek Harper. Harper hits his first. And everyone who has played for the Knicks has scored. Greg Anthony getting set to return. Good defense by Herb Williams. He jumped out and stopped Lindsey Hunter. Greg Anderson with a scoop underneath.
Well, the key to double teaming is getting back so you don't get burned. Now,
Derek Harper almost with a spectacular layup. Lindsey Hunter.
Hunter playing behind Isiah Thomas's hero when he was growing up. What a thrill it is for him to be on the same team with Isiah now.
Starks again on the baseline. Not enough spin. Approaching 9 minutes to go in the half. The follow is put in by Marcus Liberty. Pat Riley not liking some of the things he is seeing, so the Knicks call timeout with an 11-point lead.
You know,
attractions, a private party at the MGM theme park with Knicks VIPs, round-trip airfare, and game tickets. To receive your free brochure, call 212-268-8844.
Well, John, how about this? In the absence of Rolando Blackman, suspended today, we've got both point guards on the floor at the same time, Anthony and Harper for the Knicks. The Pistons engineer a steal. Marcus Liberty breaks away inside, and it's an 8-0 run by Detroit. That in response to the Knicks' biggest lead of 17 points. So it's now a 38-29 lead for the Knicks.
Pat Riley did say on occasion this might happen, but then you would expect Harper to be the two guard, although he just did bring the ball up court.
Lindsey Hunter, a long feed. And Greg Anderson follows. Greg Anderson has come off the bench to score 8 points on 3 of 5 shooting and grabbed 4 rebounds. It's a 7-point game.
And that's what's going to result in Patrick Ewing coming back in a moment.
Knicks have no exceptional outside shooters for the exception of Derek Harper, but again, his shot has been very inconsistent. Patrick Ewing returns, replacing Herb Williams. 3-second violation gives the ball back to Detroit. It's a 10-0 run now. The Knicks have turned the ball over 8 times. 3 turnovers in a row on consecutive possessions. Allen Houston, there's that volunteer touch. And now a 20-second timeout called by Pat Riley, who's been quoted recently as saying, "I've run out of speeches." It's up to the players to put a few good games together in a row.
Yes, Pat is seeking consistency from his team, and it's moments like this that throws him off. The team is coasting along, dominant, and all of a sudden they let up a bit, and the other team comes right back in. And here comes lecture number 3,821 by Pat Riley about focus and concentration.
Now, how do you figure this? You put your 2 point guards in the game at the same time, the guys who handle the ball and aren't supposed to turn it over. And since Harper and Anthony have entered the game on consecutive possessions, as we've said, 3 turnovers for the Knicks. A 12-zip run for Detroit.
Knicks now will inbound with Bonner taking it in, and Greg Anthony bringing it up with John Starks kind of resting at the other end in the forward position.
I don't know what the delay is between Don Chaney, who's now discussing things with reporter Dave D'Alessandro at press row after a discussion with one of the officials.
21.
Pressure by the Pistons. Mason and Starks. What a pass. Mason too hard off the glass. Marcus Liberty the rebound out to Hunter, who draws the foul on the drive. I mentioned that the Pistons offense has no zip, or didn't a few minutes ago. Lindsey Hunter has changed that dramatically. Second foul on Greg Anthony.
Knicks have also lost their aggressiveness defensively inside the foul line the last couple of minutes, and that's what's hurt. Now that with Ewing back, that should end.
Bonner grabs the miss. Here's Anthony on the run. A much taller Liberty on him. Now Ewing again on the double team. It forces a miss. Liberty, great interception by Starks. Knicks again in the middle of one of those disturbing stretches. They seem to have won every game or every other game. They've now gone without a field goal since 10-12 remaining in the first quarter. Ewing breaks the drought. It's a 7-point lead for the Knicks. Three and a half minutes without a field goal by New York. Bonner almost stole it from Liberty, followed by Cadillac Anderson right over Patrick Ewing. Well, he's having some first half.
Well, Patrick Ewing dominated the other night in Detroit, and he started to think undoubtedly that the Pistons were pretty small people. Well, Cadillac reminded Patrick that's not necessarily the case.
John Starks hits. Knicks up 7 again. Mills driving to the basket. Anderson again causing problems inside. That leads to a Liberty rebound. Lindsey Hunter for 3. Starks feeds Bonner, but that's picked off by Houston. Starks tries to save it, but the call is Houston pushed John out of bounds.
Cadillac Anderson, take a look at him coming in following up a shot a moment ago. One-handed slam dunk.
That was just a warm-up.
As expected, the shape.
Pistons have come back to get a little closer is because of the absence of Charles Oakley. Let's point that out. The rebounding and success they've had underneath attributable to his absence.
Look at that, John. Oakley with the steal right away, coming off the bench, replacing Mason again. Just under 5 minutes to go in the first half. Ewing is fouled. Now the Knicks come back to life. A steal at one end and a three-point play possibility at the other.
Ewing appreciates the one-on-one coverage, and that's what happens now as he goes up for that shot. A couple of inches taller than Cadillac Anderson, and that gives him plenty of room to see the hoop.
Ewing off. Knicks up 11. Anthony almost got a hand on it. Anthony Bonner did get a hand on it. So Pistons ball with 18 on the 24-second clock.
Good transition in defense by the Knicks getting back.
Sean Elliott, one of the great mysteries of the first half here. He's taken one shot and has not scored. Mills tried to work the screen with Thomas. That was botched. Here's Bonner. Missing the layup. Knicks race to get back in the transition. They do. Foul before the shot on Greg Anthony.
Well, when Isiah gets the ball so many times, he just becomes Isiah Thomas working alone. He just is determined to shoot the ball. You know, it's amazing how for one of the game's great players and just great passers, he throws a lot of turnover situations, a lot of passes that he tries to throw through the defense that get deflected, as that last one did.
Can you remember the last player whose stature was equal to Thomas's, who had so much in terms of bitter feelings against him, deny him some of the accolades that come to players who have played as great for as long as Isiah Thomas has?
Well, there aren't certainly many of them. I'll tell you one I think of right away is Rick Barry.
I was going to say Rick too. Yeah.
One of the game's truly great players who has picked up a lot of enmity along the way, or he did not generate good feeling among those around him through the years.
But there haven't been many. I mean, even if guys aren't, you know, great guys, their play on the floor has overshadowed whatever they do off it, but not so in the case of Isiah. It'll be Nick Ball with 11 seconds to go. Point of note at the other end, Greg Anthony picked up his third personal foul, marking the return of Derek Harper. Starks almost carried it. Ewing over Anderson. Ewing's hit 2 in a row and now has 10 points. So the big trio is Starks with 11, Ewing with 10, Anthony with 9 and 5 assists. Harper guards Thomas. Gets away from Harper, but not without being bothered. Meets Oakley. What defensive help by Charles Oakley, who races to get back to his man. And then the foul.
But you know, the other part of it too is it's a pleasure watching Harper go over picks. He dances around them, through them, won't get denied.
Timeout at the Garden with 3:11 to go. Charles Oakley playing well, and the Knicks up 11.
You know,
they sold out by the deadline.
12:30 yesterday. A lot of extensions. That's nice in the playoffs. And when you look at this crowd, though, it didn't.
Hiring of Chuck Daly. Built the Palace, built the World Championships, but now it's so different.
Speaking of Chuck Daly, Al, last night's interesting game that the Nets had over in Jersey against Denver. Derek Coleman was unable to play because of back spasms, and Armand Gilliam came in to really spark the team. Had a terrific game. But I was interested in the post-game comments of Chuck Daly, just saying how we play a lot harder without Derek in there. And that was in one of the columns reporting on the game. But I thought, wow, that's a headline statement by the head coach. Be interesting to see if there's a follow-up to that.
Well, you know, that game at the Garden when he and Daly had that on-court dispute, and after the game with that smile that's so infectious of Derek Coleman, he sort of sloughed it off as a moment. But there's something bad going on there. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Derek's a restricted free agent, so at the end of this season or before, I would say we'd look for a trade. Although that would seem to be unthinkable when you consider the premier talent that Derek Coleman is.
Derek Harper way off. It will still be Pistons ball. Oops, sorry, they've changed it. Oh, yes, it will be Pistons ball. 2:40 to go in the opening half here at the Garden. Detroit getting more points off their bench than from their starters. And that's been part of their second quarter success. Dumars gets away from Starks and gets a friendly bounce. It's a 7-point game again. It's gone up and down for the Knicks. As much as 17, down to 5, up to 11, down to 7 again. Ewing inside on Anderson, and he traveled as he tried to pump fake Anderson into the air. And to Anderson's credit, he never bought the fake.
Patrick kind of bounced his way in there when he got the ball, and then he wanted more and more as he tried to get closer.
Pistons bench outscoring the Knicks. Fill-ins 20-6. Isiah Thomas makes it a 48-43 game with 2 minutes to go. Starks. He's been off since scoring early.
Offensive rebounding of the Knicks has really been off.
Ewing trying to help out on the perimeter as Dumars takes advantage of that. 3 points is the difference.
Well, Al, we know it. With Thomas and Dumars, anything is possible, no matter how bad a team is record-wise.
It's not a good shot with nobody back by John Starks. 1:20 to go. That 3-pointer by Thomas would have tied the game. It rolls around and will be Pistons ball. Oakley onto the table in press row. The Knicks were up 17 points in this second quarter, and the Pistons have rolled off an 8-0 run. They had an earlier run in the quarter. That's enough to make you crazy. You know, you watch a team, you watch every game, and still, after a first quarter like the Knicks played, to think how this game could turn, but it has.
Same thing happened in Detroit the other night in the third quarter.
Starks for Ewing, left alone by Anderson. Another Detroit rebound, and breaking free is Dumars. Cannot save the pass.
I'll tell you what's going on here, Al. The fact is the Pistons are shooting the ball better than the Knicks at 53% to the Knicks 48. Knicks are missing a lot of uncontested open shots inside. A point that Pat Riley was banging on lately, saying a professional player should make 7 out of 10 open shots. And it just isn't happening.
Derek Harper. He's only 3 3-pointers away from tying Larry Bird on the NBA list.
That was a 2, though, Al.
It was. Thought he had the hand up in the air, John. Well, then he's still 4. Difference in the quarter, the rebounding numbers you just saw. It's 5 points now, final seconds of the half. Bruce Beck to talk with Knicks president Dave Checketts at halftime. That's another 2 right on the line.
See, those are big shots. Those are the kind of shots that Blackman makes. Ironic that it's Derek Harper now, his former teammate for 9 years in Dallas.
Thomas over Harper. It's a buzzer shot by Isiah Thomas. Oh, the Knicks looked so sharp in the opening quarter, but again, that second quarter, so inconsistent. 52-45. It is a 7-point difference favoring the Knicks. Bruce Beck will have the highlights, the scoring summary, and talk to the Knicks president, as I said, Dave Checketts. Come back with us on MSG.
Half 25 degrees below.
And put up some points, but I think who takes control early obviously will have the upper hand, and you know, especially who provides the long drive to eat the clock up and put the points on the board, because there is a feeling that this will be a shortened game because of all the run.
Offensive attitude. He's quicker really than we thought he was. He's got very long arms. He's a tough defender, and he'll fit in with us very well.
So are you at the point now where you're going to watch the way things develop and just sit tight for a while before you make any other trades?
Well, you know, trades are really overrated for a way to improve a club. There's a lot of things that are going to improve our club, and we're already 23-9. But when we get a healthy Charles Smith back, a healthy Hubert Davis, and you have those kind of impact players coming off the bench, and meantime you've had some improvement from players like Anthony Bonner, and Greg Anthony, I think, is playing very well. we're just going to be a stronger team by the time we fight through all this adversity. I don't see any more trades.
The importance of acquiring Bonner and re-signing Herb Williams with the current situation, the fact that this team is not healthy.
Well, I don't know how many teams have gone through the same kind of injury problems that we have, and to do that and still be on top of the division, we feel pretty good about. Now, everybody wants us to win every game, and we'd like to do that as well, but our rotations have really been messed up with all of the injuries, and we've had to bring in new players in the middle of the season, and that's caused some difficulty. But Pat has done a masterful job just getting everybody involved, playing very aggressive defense and managing to win some games even when we didn't have a right to.
Well, let's say you get all your players back this year except for Doc Rivers. Are you comfortable going to war in the NBA playoffs with this group, and does this group have a shot to win it all?
Well, the answer to the first question is absolutely. I'm comfortable with this group. When we get healthy, we're very deep at every position. We have a lot of guys that can play different positions. Charles Smith will be able to back up center and even play some power forward. So we've got to get everybody healthy, get into a regular rotation, and once guys adopt certain roles and are comfortable with them, we'll be very good down the stretch. I know that we can win the Eastern Conference, and I think we can compete for the championship with the group that we have. And the only way, Bruce, we're going to do anything is if it clearly makes us better.
Now, you gave up a conditional #1 pick to get Derek Harper. What is your philosophy now in the 90s on giving up #1 draft picks?
Well, the interesting thing is our philosophy has to change a little bit based on this latest ruling on college players and their ability to come in and out of the draft. However, your philosophy on first-round picks is really based on where your club is. You'd never give up a first-round pick if you're in a rebuilding stage or you're in a stage where the Celtics have a lot of players that are really finishing their career, and those first picks become very precious in that instance. We have a team with a number of good players in the prime of their career. We believe that our first-round pick every year for the next 3 to 4 years is going to be a low first-round pick, and we don't believe those players would come in and immediately help us. The other thing that's happened, Bruce, is anytime you can, in an offseason, pick up players like Anthony Bonner with no compensation, a first-round pick means even less. So I'm not discounting what a pick means, but with our club and the position that we're in, the picks are not as crucial, and that's why, in the end, we felt like we had to make a move.
Dave, thanks for sharing some thoughts with us, and we look forward to talking in the future when this ball club is a little more healthy.
Well, we want to get healthy, and we want to get used to playing with one another in a certain style. But Bruce, you know, to all the fans of the Knicks, I think you just got to hold on because we're in for a great ride. I'm confident of that.
Well, you heard it here from the Knicks president, Dave Checketts. Knicks lead the Pistons at the half. We'll be back with highlights and more in a moment.
New Year's '94. Here's the deal.
Starks with 11. Patrick Ewing in double figures with 10. Greg Anthony with 9 points. For the Detroit Pistons in that first half of play, 11 points for Joe Dumars, who was 0 for 4 in the first meeting between these teams Thursday night. 10 points for Cadillac Anderson. Bruce Beck with Walt Clyde Frazier. Clyde a half of streaks. Knicks opened up that lead. Pistons came back. Knicks opened it up again. How did you view things?
Yeah, their vicissitudes got them in trouble. So the Knicks are very lethargic and stagnant the first half. The second half, they played good defense. And then I thought near the end of the second half, they were going to Ewing too often. They lost the fluidity on the offense.
Well, the Knicks did open up that 7-point lead right before the half, and it's time for the highlights, which are brought to you by Minolta, makers of the new Maxim 700 SI, only from the mind of Minolta. Greg Anthony, pretty solid half.
Yeah, perpetual terror. The Pistons without an intimidator since Olden Polynice is not here. Greg capitalizing inside.
And we see a little bit of leadership in the backcourt also from the Knicks, and they're giving the ball up unselfishly, Clyde.
Greg also leads the team in looting. That time very perceptive to come up with the steal. Starks the recipient with the good stuff.
Well, the Pistons without Olden Polynice, not much inside play, but Cadillac gave him a boost.
This is one of the times the Knicks were very lethargic. Watch Cadillac from the right side with that nasty, sassy stuff.
We didn't see much of the real Joe Dumars the other night, did we?
No, Joe redeeming himself today. Starks on the second team all-defensive team. Watch this Matador D by John as he reaches around Joe for an easy two. Well, got the carom.
It got in. So the Knicks lead it at the intermission, 52-45. Third quarter action coming up from the Garden. We'll be right back. Led by 17 in this game. They saw their lead dwindle to 3. They now lead by 7. And right now, let's go back to Al Trotwig and John Andre.
All right, Bruce, it was an 18-point second quarter. Part of the Knicks' problems, their shooting is even up with Detroit. 48%. Rebounding edge held by Detroit after the Knicks beat them in that department badly on Thursday night.
Well, the Knicks just let up in the second quarter and allowed the Pistons back. John Starks with 4 of the Knicks' 9 steals. That helped. And Greg Anthony leading the way for the Knicks in the assist column with 5 of the team's 16. And a Toyota matchup featuring the 2 guards, the shooting guards on the respective teams. John Starks with 11 points. Joe Dumars with 11. Dumars shooting certainly much more than he did the other night. Starks, however, still not shooting for the high percentage, but accumulating assists, which he has done of late. In fact, he's led the Knicks in the last 2 games with 7 assists.
Yeah, at one point, as you look at Charles Oakley there and Joe Dumars beginning the second half, John Starks was 4 for 5, and he finishes the half 5 up 13. And if Patrick Ewing is going to tie Bernard King's record of 5 straight games with 30 or more points, he's going to have a huge second half. Same starting units that began the game. David Wood starts for Detroit. He saw just a couple of minutes, and then Don Chaney put in Cadillac Anderson, and that helped turn the game. Tight Knick defense in the first Pistons possession, and the 24-second clock expires. Knick ball.
Talk about Patrick needing to have a big second half. Well, Al, the other night in Detroit, he opened up in the third quarter with the Knicks' first 12 points of the quarter all by himself.
Greg Anthony out there. Solid first half for Greg. Oakley slips as he passes to Starks, and now the Pistons have it. Anthony with 9 points, 5 assists. Here's Isiah Thomas. Runs into traffic, finds Elliott. And Sean Elliott finally has 2 points. He played 18 first half minutes and took only 1 shot coming in, averaging almost 14 points a game. Starks shoots, then passes. Knicks up by 7 again.
That's a pick and roll work to perfection.
12 for Ewing. Thomas doing a lot of dribbling in this game. Wood now Elliott. Mills posting on Ewing. Bangs into Patrick and bangs it in.
That's a heck of a move by Mills. He made Patrick back up and back up. Ewing comes down now and pushes Mills to get to the position he wants.
Greg Anthony hits from the top of the key. Dumars, a rainbow for Isiah Thomas. Ewing deflected his shot and grabs the rebound. Starks and Anthony, and now Oakley.
Charles always reluctant to rush up the shot. Good sometimes, bad other times. Charles throws the pass that Anthony can't hold.
It is the nightcap game in the home-and-home series between Detroit and the Knicks. A very quiet crowd at the Garden. Joe Dumars may make it a little quieter. 56-51.
Dumars really determined to erase the memory of that game the other night in Detroit when he didn't have a field goal.
Ewing for Oakley. Fires to Starks, who finds Bonner. Now Oakley. Rebound by David Wood. An uneasy beginning to this third quarter for New York. Bonner right in David Wood's face. Mills. He's done it from the left side, and now he does it from the right side.
Mills had a very quietly effective game against the Knicks the other night as far as statistics. 16 points, 15 rebounds against the Knicks.
Ewing travels on the double and for a moment triple team. 12th turnover by the Knicks in the game.
Well, Patrick Ewing facing triple teaming, as you say, Al. That's one thing they did not do the other night against Patrick, and they didn't do it quickly at all. The doubling and the tripling came very slow. Today it's much different.
Mills way outside with Ewing. Slapping at the ball. Mills. Now Wood launches at the expiration of the 24-second clock. And since the shot was good before the buzzer, then deflected by the Knicks, it will be Pistons ball. Terry Mills. Oh, he's doing it all for Detroit. He smiles at Patrick Ewing's face.
Oh, you got a little message for Patrick. Yeah, he's enjoying it.
A little trash talking for Patrick Ewing by Terry Mills. And a timeout by the Knicks because the Pistons have reeled off 6 straight points and made it a 1-point game.
The third quarter in Detroit the other night, the Knicks enjoyed a 17-point lead at one point in the third. All of a sudden, Isiah got hot with 3 threes, and it was a 4-point game. Terry Mills, he's hot now. He's giving Patrick Ewing a little verbal taunting. Fun type of taunting. And now we've got a 1-point game.
The Knicks have only gotten off 3 shots in the quarter. They've made 2. Turnover is a bit of a third quarter problem. 14 seconds on the 24-second clock. 56 Knicks, 55 Pistons. Patrick Ewing trying to break away from Terry Mills on the inbound, draws the foul. Mills is called for the foul. That's his third.
See, Patrick hasn't been able to enjoy the dominance that he did the other night. The sense of bigness over the Pistons, and you know that's starting to bother him. He wants to stretch himself out and really take over this game inside. That's what he's giving off now with his body language.
That's an offensive foul as Ewing set the pick and then broke away, got the pass from Anthony. Ewing recording foul number 2.
Patrick trying to back in Mills. Then he comes out now and gives a shove, drawing his second foul.
Sean Elliott breaks away from Anthony Bonner. Rebound David Wood. Slapped away by Oakley. But a foul is called.
Under the Pistons basket, Mills with terrific position, getting that ball, going up for the shot, and Charles Oakley chopping him down.
David Wood rolls in the first. He's one of those guys who came out of a relatively small, in terms of being a basketball powerhouse schools, and made it in the NBA from Nevada, Reno. John, you said he looked like Robert Mitchum the other night. Did you do that?
Yes, I gave Marv a test, and Al, much to my surprise, Marv kind of agreed.
A foul before the shot. You're talking a very young Robert Mitchum, I would think.
Yes, a very young. Actually, it could be Robert Mitchum Jr., actually.
Not a foul, but illegal defense called against Detroit, their first of the game. Pistons leading 57-56 for the first time since they led 2-0. Starks looks inside for Oakley. Bottled up underneath. Knicks quick to get back. Thomas with that super-looking crossover dribble that is stolen by Oakley. Anthony for Starks. 2 Knicks go down. Starks is hurt. He took a shot to the head. And a late whistle on the play.
John Starks.
No, there was no foul call.
Rocked on that play. Mike Saunders out to help him out now.
Now a 20-second timeout is called by the Knicks. There's probably an elbow to the head. Starks. A word for one of the officials. Sure, he's thinking there was an awful lot of contact on this play for a foul not to be called.
Another look now. You see John coming in and hitting the deck hard. Greg Anthony setting up Starks, who comes in. Looks like he's shoved from behind by David Wood, and 3 players are down.
Well, Pistons with the ball. 6:43 to go in the third quarter. An 8-0 run by Detroit to take the lead. So it's an 18-point turnaround from early in the second quarter to now. Dumars is firing short. And Oakley off the leg of Dumars for a Knick possession.
Al, at one point it was 38 for the Knicks, 21 for the Pistons. It has been a 36-18 turnaround. The Knicks have been outscored 2-1 since they were up by 17.
Anthony Bonner had a very quiet game on Thursday. He did play with 4 fouls. Now he's got 3 in another quiet game as a Knicks starter. Knicks again without Rolando Blackman, suspended for throwing and missing on a punch against David Wood of the Pistons on Thursday. And Terry Mills has had a sensational third quarter. 59-56. The Knicks have turned the ball over 5 times in the third quarter alone. This is one of those games as Starks lets go with a 3 that's hard off the rim. This is one of those games where, you know, if you want to watch Knick rewind and you missed the first quarter, you want to watch the first quarter again to see how dramatically things have turned.
Well, Al, we're witnessing a case of the Knicks, much to everyone's surprise, Pat Riley, I'm sure, the biggest surprise, not remembering who their dominant player is. Why take falling away 25-foot jump shots when you've got a man who demonstrated that he couldn't be controlled the other night in Detroit, and I mean Patrick Ewing. They're not going to Ewing. It's unbelievable.
John Starks is 5 of 16 in this game. At one point he was 4 for 5. So he's made 1 of his last 11. Greg Cadillac Anderson replacing David Wood, who just recorded his 4th personal foul. Derek Harper for Greg Anthony, and a little bit more muscle on Sean Elliott as Anthony Mason checks in. Oakley from Harper. Knicks are here having a very tough time.
Charles just threw it up then. I don't believe he had a sense of where the basket was.
Second worst record in the league, that of the Detroit Pistons. That's what's leading the Knicks by 3 right now, and a great feed. Thomas to Dumars. 61-56. Derek Harper hits.
Well, he's feeling it out for the first time wearing a Knicks uniform. Harper's now hit his 3rd jump shot.
3rd in a row, and 4 of 7 from the floor. 8 points for Derek Harper. Knicks went just over 5 minutes without a field goal. Look at Anderson get to that rebound, beating everybody on the Knicks. Thomas for Dumars from way out and way off. Harper running. Starks pass deflected, intended for Ewing, and it's grabbed by Anderson.
John Starks does not fake enough before he delivers the pass. Get the defense to put their hands down.
Dumars spinning on Starks. Played him well defensively, but Dumars gets it back off his foot and out of bounds. You know, on most nights when John Starks is having a tough night from the floor, you'll see at least one other statistic on the sheet that he's played well. It's either been passing or it's rebounding. That time it was a defensive sequence, and Ewing has it slapped away by Thomas. It's all going wrong for the Knicks. With just under 4 minutes to go in the third, the Pistons lead is 5. Thomas almost again took it away. Starks for 3. Well, that's the ammo on John. He'll just keep going, and he finds the range there. It's a 2-point difference. 14 points for Starks. That pass picked off with a little help from Derek Harper. Anderson the rebound. He has come off the bench for a double-double. 10 points and 11 rebounds for Greg Anderson. Another one. Well, he was expected to be the big beneficiary of Bill Laimbeer's retirement, and he's taking advantage of it with minutes, and he's putting up points and rebounds.
We have to remember this team is playing today without the NBA's second leading rebounder, Holden Polynice, who got hurt in the opening minutes against the Knicks in Detroit.
Oakley with a dish for Ewing. Out of bounds and off his feet. There's a timeout on the floor with 2:45 to go in the third quarter. The Knicks and the Pistons have outscored the Knicks in this third quarter 20-9. The Knicks have committed 8 turnovers in the third quarter. They now have 17 in the game. Starks on Isiah Thomas. Thomas dumps it into Mills. 7 on the 24-second clock. Mills can't get by Oakley. Great defense. 2 on the 24. Thomas followed by that guy again, Cadillac Anderson. But it's Harper coming away with it. For Starks, who wants the 3, but Thomas gets back on him. Ewing off his hands.
So rare that it's successful for Patrick when he's backing up as he's receiving the ball. Backing up, backing up, backing up. Can't hold it. Too much going on. He's got to hold his position or come out to receive the pass.
Hunter. And now Thomas. Starks tied him up 3 seconds on the 24-second clock. The Knicks are called for illegal defense. That's their first. So the result is it's a warning with 1:46 to go in the third quarter. Pat Riley's Knicks have won 3 straight.
One of the fine attributes of Derek Harper is his willingness to harass the defender, the man rather, with the ball in the backcourt. He just got Hunter to kill 8 seconds just getting the ball up court. 8 of the 24.
Lindsey Hunter entering the game. He was a big part of the Pistons changing the game around in the second quarter. Mills is off. Anderson battling Starks for the rebound, and it's a foul on John Starks. Second foul on Starks, first in the last 2 minutes, so it's a non-shooting foul against John. Sean Elliott will inbound. Anthony Mason fronting him.
Harper again.
By the Knicks, yes.
Again with the deflection.
Knicks have 9 total points in this quarter. Ewing. Isiah Thomas grabbing the rebound. Thomas for Anderson. Whipping it for a wide open Terry Mills. The Knicks were frozen.
Mills totally got away. It looks like he got away from Charles Oakley.
John Starks. Oakley doing everything he can, comes away with it. Starks again. Off Ewing's hands.
Patrick didn't come out and reach for that ball.
Hunter around Harper and drawing the foul.
The Knicks are paying dearly for their lack of fundamental executions out here now. Coming to receive a pass, not turning the ball over, allowing the Pistons to be wide open as they did moments ago for Anderson underneath the basket. Mills, rather.
Patrick Ewing has 2 points in this third quarter. Lindsey Hunter at the free throw line, giving the Pistons a 7-point lead, their largest of the game.
Don Chaney has to be very pleased the way his team has taken Ewing out of the game in comparison to his effectiveness the other night. It's the Knicks' challenge now to get him back in it.
Well, Hunter is so quick. 20-5 is the run for Detroit. Starks keeps firing. And at this stage of the game keeps missing. Knicks pointing in their favor. Pistons pointing in their favor. The officials sort of conferring.
It's hard to believe, Al, but in the third quarter, the Knicks have scored 9 points.
It was equally hard to believe, John, back on December 23rd when against Atlanta they scored 8 in a quarter. Well, the Knicks got the benefit of the decision, and will have 14.5 seconds to make something happen. Ewing bothered by Greg Anderson. Ewing sets the pick on Hunter. Harper on the drive, gets the foul.
All by himself. Derek Harper, crossover dribble, picking his way up down the middle against Detroit and succeeding off the backboard. Now maybe a three-point play.
Harper makes it a 5-point game. Knicks pressure, final seconds of the quarter. Sean Elliott all the way. Get out of here, said Patrick Ewing, and the buzzer sounds to end the quarter. Well, the Knicks will have to solve whatever their problems have been in the fourth quarter. It's coming up. Lindsey Hunter, the rookie point guard, drives through traffic. His pass is intercepted. Stark, pass stolen by Elliott, and a push.
That was Lindsey Hunter from behind John Starks, deflecting that ball out of his hands.
That's a frustrating exchange for the Knicks. They get the hoop, they get a steal, and then they get it stolen back. It is Lindsey Hunter with Sean Elliott, Allen Houston, Greg Cadillac Anderson, and Terry Mills. Houston, followed by Anderson. What a game he's having today. Mason with Ewing, Oakley, Starks, Harper. Houston runs over Starks and hits.
Houston's a big guy at 6'6". He can give out a bit of punishment like that and still have the concentration on the shot. Starks very unhappy. Gave Houston a push. Now here's John Starks letting his temper get away from him. He gave Houston a push, and then he clobbered the next man cutting across. A really overt foul by John.
Ewing holds back Starks, and then the captain let the official have it himself.
John got pushed down by Houston, who then hit the jump shot, and John lashed back at the other end.
He's got 4 fouls now with 10.5 to go in the fourth. Anderson slapped away by Ewing. Mills spins away from Harper, who finds Anderson. On the line, Pistons ball. Starks is absolutely furious, and Pat Riley is going to pull him from the game and send in Corey Gaines.
After John got disappointed after he was knocked down by Houston, he then went down to the other end of the court.
Earlier in the game, Pat Riley went with 2 point guards, Anthony and Harper. Maybe there was something there that he didn't like. And now it's Harper and Gaines. Gaines can shoot. Ewing. That's 2 in a row from Patrick Ewing.
Well, good instinctive move by Gaines, getting the ball to the Knicks leader. This is something the Knicks haven't done enough.
3-point edge for Detroit. Hunter, the rookie, guarded by the 12-year veteran Harper. Mills backing in on Oakley. A lot of meat involved in this move. Ewing changed the shot. Oakley comes away with the rebound. Leads the Knick break. Harper. Fouled by Lindsey Hunter.
Earlier, John Starks came down. You can see him push, respond to Allen Houston, and then give Sean Elliott an overt clobber, which was called a foul, and that indicated how John had lost his control, so Pat Riley decided to take him out and let him cool down.
Derek Harper's biggest game, point-wise, as a Knick. Starts leaving with 14 points, 6 of 19 shooting. Knicks have only been to the free throw line now for this, their 9th attempt. Harper's previous high with the Knicks was 7, and he now has 13, almost doubling that. Pressure by the Knicks. Harper stays back, and he will delay Hunter's progress up the floor as much as he can. He comes across with 17 left on the 24-second clock. Crossover, all the way. Stopped by Oakley. Gaines leads the break all the way with the foul.
Oakley defense. Harper a defensive player. Boy, did they work well together. Charles Oakley taking that ball out of the air. Harper pushing it ahead. The great part about Harper is he recognizes the fundamentals of the game. If a man is in front of you on offense, get him the ball, because the defense has to work that much harder, and chances are they can't deal with it.
Isiah Thomas returns, replacing Lindsey Hunter. Allen Houston leaves in favor of Joe Dumars, so the experience returns in a move by Don Chaney.
Corey Gaines has added some positive touches here in his brief time on the court.
Yes, and he's given the Knicks the lead again, 72-71. Gaines, if he thought about it, probably can't believe that he's guarding Isiah Thomas. Just a few weeks ago, it was so different for him. In lacrosse of the CBA, Mills, before the shot, is fouled. Charles Oakley commits the foul. That's his third. And Detroit will inbound. 9:10 to go in the fourth. Knicks with an 11-2 run to reclaim the lead. They once led by 17 early in the second quarter. Thomas pushed way outside by Corey Gaines. Mills also way outside, guarded by Oakley. Harper. He gets through just about all screens. Now he's taken down by Mills. Gaines into the front row and beyond.
Good hustle by Gaines. Oh, those very expensive seats. Enjoying a little extra today.
Corey Gaines hearing it from the fans. Derek Harper and Gaines bothered by Thomas. Now they go inside to Ewing, who falls away and gets fouled before the shot. We've got a timeout on the floor as Greg Anderson commits the foul, his third. There'll be a close run down the stretch. 8:37 to go.
And get a time.
No attempt. Steve Christie, a guy who's hit from 59. That was back in week 3 against Miami. For the season, 23 of 32. He dropped off late in the season, although in the Bills' last game, he did hit 3 out of 4, including a 49-yarder. Frank Wright will hold. It is good. The Bills extend to a 22-17 lead with 59 seconds remaining in the third.
Callum's fumble. Bruce Smith strips the ball along with Jeff Wright. But I tell you one thing, I think the Raiders
is 9 times
back to play action.
Are they as fast as hers?
Not exactly, but what's the
She gets her mo going. She's tough to stop.
All-time leading scorer Wayne Gretzky of the LA Kings, the hottest young player in the game, Philadelphia Flyer Eric Lindros, and two-time league MVP Mark Messier of the New York Rangers, some of the marquee players who will be on hand. Paul, that's the NHL All-Star Game live from Madison.
It's the thing that winners do. They
Dodge City. Dodge is twice as bad as Wichita ever was.
Three-point range going into today's game in the last several games, but today the touch isn't quite there. But the Pistons 0 for 11.
Derek Harper now guarded in the mismatch by Terry Mills. That leaves Dumars on Oakley, and Harper to take a 3. Big rebound by Sean Elliott. Well-balanced scoring by Detroit. 14 for Terry Mills, 15 for Joe Dumars, 10 for Isiah Thomas, 12 for Greg Cadillac Anderson. Here's Dumars, 10 on the 24-second clock. Knicks up 1. Anderson bothered by Ewing, and Oakley grabs the rebound. That's 9 rebounds for Charles Oakley. They clear it out to allow Mason to move inside on Elliott, and successfully he does, drawing the foul.
Well, Anthony Mason's been a little quiet today. Second game back, but boy, memories by that move of Mason back to November 27. Mason with his season high in that one against the Pistons. 20 points, 9 out of 12 from the field. And it was Sean Elliott then the victim, as he was just now.
75-71, 7:40 to go. Thomas launches one. It's grabbed by Mason. A swarm of Knicks inside. 14-2 run right now by the Knicks. Ewing kicks it out for Gaines. Mason, Gaines, Harper. Derek Harper for 3. First three-pointer. He is now only 3 three-pointers away from tying Larry Bird on the career 3-point shots made. Harper is fouled in the dive for the loose ball. Dumars will be.
Oh, does he love it, Al? Does he love it? He was on the floor. You know, he loved that play more than the 3. Harper harassing Joe Dumars. That amazing ability to reach around a player without committing the foul. So hard. Harper has great spirit, doesn't he?
3 three-point field goals away from tying Larry Bird for 6th on the all-time NBA list. It's a 17-2 run now, and credit the defensive pressure, rebounding of Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason, and the leadership of Harper, and just the spunk of Corey Gaines. He really brought a lot off the bench when Pat Riley called his number. So Derek Harper, in his best point effort as a Knick, steps to the free throw line with 16 points.
Now we are witnessing now in this one particularly the Harper effect. Both ends of the court. He has been a big plus for the Knicks. Usually starts with defense with Harper and ball distribution. Today it's shooting the basketball as well. He's really getting into the fullness of his game now.
And Greg Anthony, who had such a fine first quarter, not much in the mix in this second half. Under 7 minutes to go. Knicks up 9. Dumars from down low. The lane opens up.
Yes, it looked like he was hanging on the rim. Cadillac Anderson went up with one hand, which is a violation. You can see on this Dumars miss, Cadillac coming in hanging with one hand.
You can't be doing that.
But don't we wish we could do it, Al?
Anderson trying to increase his hang time by a lot. And foul just as Anthony Mason received the ball. That'll be the 3rd foul on Sean Elliott, the invisible man in today's game. Detroit's over the limit. Anthony Mason will shoot. And the crowd is reacting quite loudly to some football highlights on the Garden Vision scoreboard at the Garden. The reaction to this game should only be so good. 6:32 to go with the timeout on the floor. Knicks 80, Pistons 71. Knicks will take on the Minnesota Timberwolves on Monday, a Martin Luther King Day start of 1 o'clock. That
far out in front, he just hooks the ball into the goalpost.
Al Jaeger with the kickoff.
We're talking about Sean Elliott a couple of moments ago as we look at Derek Harper, who's really added a major punch to the Knicks in the second half. But Elliott comes off a 17-point-a-game year in San Antonio, which was his 4th year in the NBA. The Pistons now, he's averaging 14 a game for the Pistons. But against the Knicks, it just hasn't worked in his game in New York. When Mason had his season high, Elliott had 4 points.
John, I mentioned the
in Detroit, Al, just to finish the point, excuse me, 9 points the other night, so Elliott's just been taken out of it.
Well, I mentioned in the pregame the quote that was attributed to him recently where he said, we're all a bunch of crybabies on this team. Something goes wrong and we point fingers, and you wonder if, you know, it's not taking a lot out of him, all these losses, because he certainly doesn't seem like he's into it.
Well, he has a problem with the strength of Anthony Mason in the matchup with the Knicks. He just can't match it.
It's been 4.5 minutes between points for the Detroit Pistons, and the drought grows as Joe Dumars comes across the midcourt line, guarded ever so tightly by Derek Harper, who looked as though he had the swipe. Instead, it's a foul.
Derek Harper, harassing defender. Looks like he got it clean from Harper's angle.
This is Derek Harper's Knick coming out party here today at the Garden. Corey Gaines guarding Isiah Thomas. Anderson powers his way, and he runs into a Ewing Oakley wall. Oakley may be hurt. Oakley may be hurt at the other end. Mason, meanwhile, draws a foul, and Oakley's up and okay. He was doubled over.
His left thigh out. Yes, he got hit in the looks in the thigh on that play as he came up court by Cadillac's drive.
Oakley's favoring the right leg or the right hamstring or something. That's where he took the brunt of the collision with Anderson. It's a 20-2 run that has given the Knicks an 11-point lead. Anthony Mason coming to life here in the fourth quarter. He now has 7 points and 5 rebounds. Pistons have not scored in the last 5 minutes and counting. Thomas breaks the string. 82-73, 5.5 to go.
Pistons have not scored over 85 against the Knicks in their 2 meetings.
Corey Gaines feeds Ewing, and it's in such a position that Ewing draws the foul. It's on Greg Cadillac Anderson. That would be his 5th foul. David Wood checks into the game, replacing Sean Elliott. Elliott leaves 1 for 5 from the floor, 2 points for 3 rebounds. 12 points off his average on the season. Patrick Ewing misses on the free throw, and Ewing will stand at 16 points.
Pat Riley was very pleased to note how Ewing has been to the line so much lately against the Pistons the other night. 10 out of 14. Today, however, a whole different story. Patrick 1 out of 3 from the foul line.
On the play, Oakley was called for his 4th personal foul as the Knicks have erupted in this quarter and holding Detroit to 4 points in the quarter. We're almost 7 minutes into the 4th quarter. Corey Gaines gets by the David Wood screen. Mason up hard, so is Greg Anderson. Derek Harper comes away with it. Bounce pass for Gaines. Spins, kicks it back out, and Derek Harper settles things down. Under 5 minutes here at the Garden. Gaines again to Ewing. Patrick Ewing.
You know, Al, that's Ewing's 16th field goal attempt of the game. The other night, he had 31 field goal attempts. So that's one thing the Pistons have done. They've quieted Patrick by denying him shot opportunities.
Terry Mills connects. Ewing with 19 points. He'll have to have a tremendous run here to get to that 30-point mark again. Gaines left open. Well short, and Isiah Thomas is there. Mills for Dumars, fouled from behind by Harper. He set the low screen. Dumars used it. Harper, trying to recover from the effects of it, committed the foul.
How fortunate Pat Riley is to have to go to the bench for that backup to John Starks when John's lost some control, and come up with the effort that Corey Gaines has put forth. And this came about because of Orlando Blackman being suspended for 1 game as a result of that punch that he threw in the direction of David Wood the other night, as Blackman was battling for rebounding position. So the Knicks, without Orlando today, fortunate to have a Corey Gaines effort.
Free throws hit. 4:10 to go. The Knicks up 8. Just when John Starks looked to be breaking that shooting slump of his, he shoots 3 of 15 Thursday and sits on the bench now, 6 of 19. Ewing dumps for Oakley. Doesn't get the roll, but gets the foul. A give-back exchange between Ewing and Oakley. And it sends the Knicks to the free throw line again.
Ewing wide open, getting that ball, and seeing Oakley with the great inside position, giving it up to him. So with Ewing the dominant force the other night in Detroit, the Knicks come out today and find Ewing getting doubled and tripled, but now the Knicks have the good fortune of having 3 other players in double figures along with Ewing's 19 points, and Derek Harper was the guy who stepped up today, and the fans recognizing Corey Gaines' major contributions here in the 3rd quarter.
Well, you know why? When he came into the game, the Pistons were up 71-66, and right after that, the Knicks scored 16 straight points. One of the big catalysts. Starks returns. 3:52 to go in the 4th quarter. In spite of the fact that the Pistons are 0 for 11 from 3-point range, the Knicks still have to respect Isiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. Illegal defense is called.
First time Harper has gotten caught for illegal defense where he will leave Isiah Thomas, go in and bother the big man with the ball, and then get back. But I noticed, Al, since he has been a member of the Knicks, that's his style. He'll be guarding his man. The ball will go inside. He'll dart in there, but sometimes he doesn't go all the way in to the double team. He kind of hangs in that middle area, and it seems these days that 9 out of 10 fouls that are called for, or illegal defensive calls rather, that are made are because of that middle ground commitment by a player where he doesn't go fully to the other man he's helping out on.
That is just an amazing heave-ho by Isiah Thomas. It was an air ball. Somehow the Pistons will retain possession off by Anthony Mason, I believe. It came with 18 seconds on the 24-second clock. Terry Mills hits the 3-pointer, and then trash talks with Charles Oakley just a bit. So the first 3-pointer by Detroit, and it comes from Terry Mills. It's a 6-point ball game. John Starks back in, guarded by Dumars. Mason sets the screen.
Starks looking for Ewing, signaling for him to come into play.
Top shot by Ewing. It was almost a one-handed shot. He used the other hand to ward off the arm that was in his face. He has 21. Once again, they go to Mills way outside. He can move. And draws. No, it's traveling. He got tangled up on the baseline under the pressure of the 24-second clock. Back to the Garden in a moment.
Timberwolves bumping off Orlando last night for their 3rd straight.
Derek Harper surprising here at the Garden, but not when you consider his career. And how about this? In only 4 games with the Knicks, he has experienced winning than he did in 29 games with Dallas. Best game as a Knick today. Harper with 18 points now on 6 of 11 shooting, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. It's an 8-point difference with 2.5 to go here at the Garden. John Starks for Oakley. Behind the back off the floor for Ewing. Tipped by Oakley. Oh, that was Charles Oakley's play. 12 points, 10 rebounds. It's another double-double for him. Mills gets behind Oakley. Soft touch. Terry Mills and Greg Anderson both with fine games today. 21 points for Terry Mills. Well, I say a backcourt violation against Derek Harper.
Hugh Hollins with that call. Dr. Norman Scott, the Knicks physician, and Mrs. Ernie Grunfeld disagreed vehemently. I picked them up in our line of vision.
Mills backing in on Oakley. David Wood. Oakley out for Starks. Under 2 to go. Thomas gets up on Harper. Harper breaks away from him. Oakley saves it. Out from Mason. Who finds Starks for 3? Starks! Knicks up 11. It's a blocking foul on Anthony Mason. And Mason's letting everybody hear his displeasure. John Starks at the other end with the 3-pointer, giving him 17 points. So it's Ewing's 21, Harper's 18, Starks 17, Oakley 12, Anthony 11.
Well, it was John Starks after this fine save by Charles Oakley to Mason to John that stretched this lead out now. Meanwhile, the Knicks league-leading defense holding their opponents to 90 points a game, right on target today.
Knicks with 5 scorers in double figures. Here's Derek Harper. Starks backing in to Ewing. And Greg Anderson will get the hook here. That's his 6th personal foul. Anderson will leave with an effort to be talked about. 12 points, 15 rebounds as Greg Anderson fouls out. Gets a word or two from John Starks. Look positive. I'm trying to figure out where their career paths might have crossed. Starks and Anderson.
Well, if Greg Anderson ever passed through Oklahoma, why, there's a good chance. So John spent his college years.
Patrick Ewing is now tied with Walt Frazier in another category. Free throws made. One more free throw, and in addition to being the all-time leading scorer in the history of the franchise, he'll have made more free throws than anyone to ever wear the Knick uniform. Oakley's output for Starks is too long. So with 51.4 seconds to go, the Knicks up 11. It certainly looks as if the Pistons, who will send David Wood to the line, are going to lose for the 12th straight time. A lot of time left, but this is a streak that has seen them win only 3 games since the end of November. 11 games in a row is the streak you talk about now, but only 3 wins since the end of November. David Wood makes it a 10-point game.
Well, Olden Colonies not being here really hurt them again.
Yeah, but you know what, John? The Pistons may have had Robert Mitchum on their side. It rolls around. There's a foul as John Starks came up the floor. John, here you go. There's David Wood. There's Robert Mitchum. I think it's pretty good. A very young Robert Mitchum.
Oh, Robert Mitchum would like to look like that today, or like Mr. Wood.
Kelly Tripuk is on the air down in Detroit. He was looking over at our monitors. He can't figure out why in the world Robert Mitchum just appeared on MSG. He's looking down here. He's going, why did they just have Robert Mitchum on there? What does he have to do with this? Starks misses the free throw with 43.8 to go.
Well, Al, it looks like the possibility of the Knicks holding the Pistons under 90, as they have done in 18 of the 32 games this year. And their all-time club record for most consecutive opposing games of their opponent under 90 is 4. And that was accomplished once this year in November.
We'll play out the last 43.8 of a second in a moment. Somebody had to be out there to see if Marv would get it, and he did. 43.8 to go. A lot of the crowd heading out into the frozen streets of New York. They think the Knicks have this one locked up. Sean Elliott lost it. John Starks on the run. He's got help of Oakley and Ewing.
Charles lost his balance. Looked like a sure layup.
Actually helps the Knicks eat up a little bit more time.
Charles is really laughing. He's getting it from the bench.
Starks is short. Mills on the rebound. And the Detroit Pistons are going to lose their 12th consecutive game. I hesitated for a moment. That was a two-pointer by Sean Elliott. It's 97-88 and a foul. Derek Harper will have his best game as a Knick. 18 second half minutes. A lot of bench time for Greg Anthony. 29 minutes overall for Harper. Joe Dumars, 18 points for Detroit. Much different from his night on Thursday, but the end result for Detroit will be the same. Harper's first miss from the free throw line in 6 attempts. And the Knicks get set for a busy week. Minnesota Monday, then San Antonio, and then Orlando Friday on the road. And the buzzer will sound at Madison Square Garden. The once proud champions have become hapless. The Detroit Pistons have lost 12 straight, too short of the franchise record set in 1979-80.
Ever the class act, Joe Dumars at the end of the game reached over to John Starks and shook his hand. When do you see that?
Not often enough. The Knicks 97 for their 4th consecutive victory over the Pistons 88. That's the story of today's game. Bruce Beck will detail who scored how many, talk about highlights, and have post-game coverage when we come back on MSG.
Terrific run to win this ball game and win their 4th straight. Take a look at the leading scorers in the ball game, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Patrick Ewing with 23 points. Derek Harper, a Knicks season high with 18. John Starks had 18. Charles Oakley had a dozen. And Greg Anthony with the big first half finished with 11 points. For the Detroit Pistons, 21 for Terry Mills. Dumars at 18, Isiah 14, but it was not enough. So the Knicks win it at the Garden. Back with Derek Harper in a moment. Assists, and here's Harper working on the offensive end against Joe Dumars, who's trying to chase him. He decides to penetrate in this move, goes to the basket, double clutches, and goes glass for 2 points. And Derek Harper joins us courtside. By far your most productive game as a Knick, and you seem to look confident and comfortable.
For a change, I think I did look comfortable. It's been a tough situation, being traded from Dallas and coming in, being forced to learn a lot of offense, a lot of different guys. So I'm just trying to settle in, and today I felt real comfortable.
Has it been a strange experience in terms of you don't know where you're going and coming from?
It's been strange, but that's part of this business. It's just new to me. I've never been traded. Been in one place for 10 years, so it's taken some adjustment period, but I think I'm going to find myself.
Has the coach put any plays in for you offensively yet?
No, I want the pick and roll play. That's a point guard play, basically. All point guards and all teams use it in the league. I'm comfortable with it. I think the main thing is to get the overall system down, and I think I'll be more comfortable and be more able to help this basketball team.
Do you know the other plays yet?
I know most of them. I have to look and ask Oak a lot of time what's going on. I have to look at Rouse to see exactly what he wants a lot of times. But like I said, it's just taking time, and throughout the year, I think I'm going to become more comfortable with it.
Point guard mentality for you. Do you look to shoot first, or you look for that pass first?
Well, I'm looking to pass, but people double-team Patrick a lot, and it frees you up around the perimeter. I think I can hit those shots. They're very comfortable shots, and, you have to step up and take them.
Let's talk defense. You seem to get more enjoyment out of that one big play against Dumars than you did burying the 3.
Well, I'm in the league because of my defense, let's face it. That's what's gotten me my reputation, and I do enjoy taking the ball from somebody, containing somebody. That's what I get my joy out of. But you can't forget about offense. You got to score too.
How good does it feel to win your 4th game as a Knick, knowing that you won 2 ball games in 29 in Dallas?
You don't know how much I've been asked that question. It's a great feeling. You know, I thank God for the opportunity. I really do.
Coach looked to you down the stretch. Were you surprised?
I'm really surprised. We got things going a little bit. We were struggling there in the 3rd quarter for a second, and I think he felt like he had to make a change, and it worked out for us.
What happened to this ball club to start the 4th after you guys were really losing your focus for a bit in the 3rd?
I think Corey Gaines came in and gave us a real lift. He got out and gave us a lot of energy, something you need when things aren't going well, and it was a plus for us. You know, that's the thing about this league. Everybody that's called upon has to step up. Rolando was out today, and Corey did a good job.
From Derek Harper, we go to Coach Pat Riley. Let's check in with the coach.
You know, a guy that hasn't played, and I know probably a lot of you probably don't know much about him, but I thought the difference in the game and getting the ball just to move was when Corey Gaines came into the game. And, you know, just to be that kind of a player while you're just lethargic and turning the thing over. We had 11 turnovers in the 3rd quarter, basically, because we couldn't catch it, just catch it or hold on to it, and it was just very frustrating for us. But, you know, I thought he played some big minutes. I thought Derek hit about 2 or 3 shots to open it up for us, and we got our confidence back as a team, and we got the win. And I think, you know, sometimes it's going to be somebody else, and, you know, so he had his day. And, you know, but we struggled for the most part after we got that 15-point lead in the first half.
When you put Corey in, is it anything to do with Starks' disposition?
No, I mean, John was really the only, yes, yeah, more than anything else, is that, you know, losing Rowe and having Hubert out, John was the only 2 that we had. And I tried it in the first half with Greg, just to have Greg run that spot because he knows it. And obviously we're, you know, really out of sync. So Corey does know that spot pretty well. And so using him in the second half just to give John a breather. And he did some very nice things for us out there. So, but we need more of that. We need more players that are just willing to catch it and pass it, and just get the ball moving. I think there was one possession, you know, I was almost begging him to shoot the ball, but he kept passing the ball, and it ended up in a 3 with Derek. But when you're doing the right thing, you're just trying to be unselfish, and you know, usually good things happen that way.
Pat, Ewing's field goal attempts were way down compared to the other night. Was that a function of Detroit's defense, or are we just going away from him a little?
No, they doubled him quicker, you know, earlier. Obviously, they were a little bit smaller on him, but they came quicker on him. He had a little bit of a hard time catching it at times or holding on to it because they're, you know, stripping and raking in on him. And, you know, but I think for the most part, you know, their defense was much better on the post and more aware of him than it was the other night. I mean, teams are committed right now, and it's obvious when you watch films how they're going to take Patrick out of it or try to, and John. And we have to have some other people make some timely shots and get some timely offense. I thought also with Anthony Mason about 3 times in a row trying to post him against Elliott. You know, we got 2 fouls, he got a 3-point play, and, you know, other players have to sort of step up a little bit when that happens.
Pat, Ewing said a couple nights ago that he was going to play the game. Patrick Ewing played. As he said, I have a great turnaround. They want him to take to the basket more. Philosophically, does that go against what you want him?
Well, I don't know what they means. You know, I mean, Patrick's been in this league a long time, and you know, what we want him to do and what he should want to do is make good plays. That's all. You know, be it a shot, you know, be it a pass or whatever it is, he has to make the play because, you know, the post is an offense unto itself when there's a double team. And, you know, what I do like about his game the last, and he struggled a little bit today, but he has been really mixing it up with a variety of things. And getting to the free throw line, I don't know what it was today, but, you know, second shots or jump hooks or face-ups, whatever it is. And I think that does change up a little bit for him. So whatever he is doing, I don't have a problem with it as long as it's, you know, making the right play. That's all it's about. Well, it still is like, it's like Chinese checkers for him out there. I mean, he, you know, it's going to take some time. You know, I thought in the second quarter, we were just so far out of sync. We're not a good random basketball team. We have never been that. And we don't have the ball handling skills. You know, we don't play that kind of game. And we're a power team, and we have to be disciplined, and we have to trust that. I think there was a little bit of there was a lot of confusion in the second quarter when we had Greg at 2 and Derek was trying to penetrate a little too much. But if he just runs what we have to run, he will find shots for himself. They will come out of what we run. And I think once he hit a couple of jumpers, he felt a lot more comfortable. But he has the ability to break the defense down with his drives. And we have to be more aware, and our guys aren't right now, of exactly when he's going to do that. So if he's going to break a set by penetrating, then our guys have to be a little more in tune to that. And I think that just takes time, when he does that. So there'll be outlets if he doesn't get to the basket.
Todd, are you happy with the minutes that Anthony Bonner continues to do?
Yeah. AB's given us a nice lift. He's a specific role player, rebounder, defensive player, and I thought he got off to a good start today. So I'm happy with his performance.
Where have you seen the team improve with all the injuries and new guys coming in? Where have you seen the improvement?
We're up and down. I mean, I don't know how much improvement we're making. I mean, if you were to look at today's game, you'd have to, think about that. But when we're reckless with the basketball and turning the basketball over, then we're not going to be a very good team. And that was the story of not having the kind of game we probably should have had today. Got very careless with the ball.
What are you looking for this Minnesota one?
Well, they beat Orlando last night.
The Coaches Conference brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. And they're changing the three-point line. It goes to 19 feet 9 inches for tonight's game between St. John's and Connecticut.
He said when Ewing's playing like that, we have to be pretty flawless on the other end. And right now we're not good enough to be flawless. That's a very bad team, the Pistons, very thin. I think Terry Milk played 48 minutes, so it shows you how thin they are. And Olden Polynice, I got some bad news on him today as well.
So they will get thinner. What's the story with Polynice?
Well, Polynice, the doctors have told them there's no damage inside the knee. It's a strain, and he's going to be out at least 3 weeks. So what Cheney said is when they say 3 weeks, you can pretty much bank on about 4.5, because 3 weeks means that they can start practicing after 3, and it takes about a week and a half to get into game shape. And Polynice is a very important player for them. He pulls down some rebounds, plays some defense, and they don't have that right now.
And the bottom line is today, without Polynice, no one was able to handle Ewing. He was just as effective as the other day. He didn't score as much, but by kicking it out, as you mentioned, he did the things he had to do.
Well, Cheney said he becomes extremely dangerous when he kicks it out. He said because what you want him to do is to take the double team and try to solve it himself. But when he doesn't do that, he's playing smart basketball. He'll kick it out because obviously basketball 101, if you're doubled, somebody's open, and Ewing has been finding that open player.
Now, I know Mike did have a chance to talk to Cadillac Anderson. What kind of car does he drive?
He drives a Ford Taurus.
Mike, you really dig for the meaty
stuff. That's the kind of information you want, Bruce.
All right.
I'll bring it to you.
Thank you, Michael. So Cadillac Anderson does indeed drive a...
Let me ask you about the Josh...
Could be.
Somebody needs to think about this.
The deuce.
Go, fight, win. Ay, whatever. Think about it. Think about it.
Fresh Irish morn.
In Switzerland, water resistant to 165 feet and available at select Macy's stores. New York Knicks with the victory at the Garden. They are 4 games ahead of last year's pace. Back with Curtis Fun in a moment.
And their defense.
Budweiser, fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your Bud.
And the Bud Dunk of today's game provided by Terry Mills of the Detroit Pistons, who played the full 48 minutes. He had some air balls, but he also had some powerful slams such as that one. Curtis Fun has emerged now from the Knicks locker room. Corey Gaines is a guy who quietly gave this team a nice lift today. Curtis, get anything from Corey?
Yeah, he said he was a little bit surprised to get the opportunity, but he had been playing some two-guard in practice, so he was comfortable with that position. They tried it with Greg Anthony in the second quarter without Rolando Blackman, and they really didn't function too well. But he said he felt comfortable, and Derek Harper gave him some encouraging words when he came in. He said that really kind of eased his mind as well.
Well, the Knicks finished the ball game with Derek Harper rather than Greg Anthony on the floor. Was there any feedback?
Yeah, Greg, he admitted that he's a much better player when a coach shows confidence in him and let him play for extended minutes. And that didn't happen tonight, of course, so he was a little bit disappointed.
But the bottom line there, Curtis, was that Harper was playing at a good level. Knicks were really responding to his leadership, so he must understand that sometimes if you're going well, a coach will stick with a player.
And Greg acknowledged that. He said Derek played well. I'm not trying to take anything away from Derek. He said when they acquired him in the beginning, he said he knew that they
he thought that it was a sign that they didn't have confidence in him, but then he kind of looked at it as a team trying to fortify that position. But he likes to be out there, and when a guy who is a threat to you is out there, I don't care how much of a team player you are, you're going to feel like you're threatened when you're not playing.
Anything about the different runs we had in this ball game, because the Knicks had a big lead, they blew it, then they fell behind, then they came back.
Yeah, Greg said the team's inconsistency has really bothered them all year. I mean, it's been a disturbing pattern for the last 2 weeks. And he said it's more of that word again, focus, where they have to really concentrate. They get those lulls or vacations, as Riley calls them sometimes, where they get up with the big lead and they sort of relax and let the team get back in, and before you know it, they have a struggle.
What about Oakley in that play where he tripped going into the basket? You pick anything up there?
No, I didn't get a chance to talk to Oakley. He was in there showering. Also, he was in there watching the Bills play. Bruce Smith is a very good friend of his, so he was more concerned about, after they took care of business here, whether his friend would take care of business.
There's no doubt that Oak took care of business as usual as the Knicks came on with the win tonight. Curtis, we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
So the New York Knicks victorious at the Garden. They improved their record to 24-9. And as I mentioned earlier, believe it or not, they're 4 ahead of last year's pace. And you thought this ball club was struggling. Coming up on Monday afternoon.
Messier reads the play. It's gone. Did you see the fine pass? I believe that was Amonte on the pass. And finally, the Rangers were able to hit the net on Belfour. That one went through the legs. Here's Amonte chipping the puck up, and Messier, who was flying, is gone. Said he had 9 solid hours of sleep last night. Well, it looks like it. You can tell. 1-0 Rangers, and it should be 4. Now the play was made by Larmer. He had the puck on the board. Steve Smith ran him. Larmer came off the boards with the puck after he was hit. And when you do that, that's how you set up scoring chances. It takes the defenseman out of the play. Look at this. There's the hit. Larmer takes the hit, keeps the puck, sets up a 2-on-1, and then Zubov beats Graves for the open net. Belfour had gone right out to Zubov, forgot about Graves. You'll see it here. Zubov looks like he's going to shoot it. Belfour's gone now to him, and now Belfour can't get back, and it's 4-1. Great plays all the way up the ice.
29 goals on the year for Adam Graves. Steve Larmer in his return to Chicago makes a fine play, and Zubov with a nice pass to set up the goal. Graves 29th from Zubov and Larmer at 4:18. So the Hawks with the early edge in play in the third, and the Rangers quiet it down with the fine play.
Mike Richter. Yeah. And the Rangers have more scorers and better scorers, and when they have chances. Got time for Steve Larmer right here in the Chicago Stadium against Eddie Belfour. Baby, this is going to be interesting. Messier, by the way, is injured on the play. As he gets robbed, he fell on his own and crashed into the boards, and he's still down. Talking with the trainer, David Smith. He just nodded up and down that he may be okay.
Well, how about poor Eddie Belfour makes a fabulous save on a 2-on-none. He makes a fabulous save on Messier.
And he's hurting on the play. How's it like to be the backup goaltender, Hackett? He may have to come off the bench and try to stop a penalty shot. Steve Smith's down. What a series of events. The beautiful pass, great save. Belfour's hurt now as he gets clipped right there by Richie Sutter. But Richie Sutter had a tough shift. He knocked down Steve Smith. He injured his goaltender. And now Hackett might have to come off the bench. This is wild.
All right, Eddie Belfour up slowly.
What's Larmer going to do, Sam? Is he going to go high to the glove side? He's in the Rangers zone, thinking it over. He knows Eddie Belfour, former teammates for years. Oh, baby, fasten your seatbelt.
Well, during this season, there have been 14 penalty shots and 6 scored.
By the way, Messier is at the bench, leaning on the bench, and he seems to be okay.
All right. It'll be Steve Larmer against Eddie Belfour. Former teammates. Belfour still having some difficulty here. So we're still waiting. Belfour stretching out. Apparently either cramped up or may have pulled something. Stretching way back.
Check out Hackett's heart rate right about now. He looks pretty calm considering.
Well, maybe they'll get Tretiak to come down and play it.
Oh, man. He's okay. He's a competitor, is Eddie Belfour. The joint standing. Everybody's up. They're going to have some fun.
Tretiak. 5:59 to go in the third. Rangers leading 4-1. 18,472 on their feet at Chicago Stadium. Larmer goes towards Belfour. He scores!
Oh, baby. This is a game in which the Rangers, it means a lot to a lot of people on their team, and this is a game that will make them even a tighter team than what they are already. Watch Belfour. Is he ever a long ways out? Larmer just powers the puck. Blast! Belfour went down. I think the puck may have gone through the hole between the arm and the body. I think it touched Belfour somewhere. His body or his stick. Bang.
No fake. Larmer just went with power.
When I saw Belfour out this far, I said Larmer's got to go around him. And Larmer slows down and just winds up. Where does it go? Does it go through the opening? Yes, it does. Right between the elbow and the body. And they miss you, Steve Larmer, here in Chicago. We can understand why.
I mean, just think about that. The penalty shot called when Belfour made a fabulous save on Messier on a 2-on-none. Has to face the penalty shot. Larmer scores. Rangers lead 5-1.
A goal plus an assist in the third period for Steve Larmer. Remember that. He made a great play on the fourth Ranger goal.
Smith sends it around. Hudson on the ice, chipping it across. Hudson on. Larmer now skates to the bench for a change. Kosar has come on. Ryan Noonan moves in. He's taken out by Bukaboom. Leach plays it off the glass. Once again, a solid defensive effort by the Rangers.
The penalties. Kosar wants Lemieux. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. Lemieux is trying to run everybody, and the Rangers, Joey Kosar's out there to say enough's enough. You want to run somebody in our club, we better have a battle. Kovalov and Chelios nose to nose. Oh, man.
4:06 to go in the third. Penalties handed out in the moment.
Guy. Look at him and Hudson.
Are they happy?
They know. They know.
A fine win for the Rangers. Their 29th of the season. Will be.
Watch the gate fly open. Right there. Get in there.
He's done about everything.
It way down low. Here's the pass. It is good if it goes.
Oh, my goodness. Pulls up from about 40.
And he makes it look this easy. You know, it was harder with all the screaming fans and pressure.
Plays of the Week is brought to you by Isuzu. Like Isuzu, Plays of the Week is practically amazing.
Practically. Still ahead on the of his first 10 years. He didn't want to leave the game injured on a cart or the way he went out yesterday. As the revolutionary linebacker leaves the game, here's a look at the man who kept offensive coordinators awake and knocked out quarterbacks.
Has Saturday night lost its magic?
Knicks recently, he scored 30 or more points in 4 straight games. But Saturday, he got a little help from his friends, resulting in the Knicks' 4th consecutive victory. The Minnesota Timberwolves are next up for the Knicks, led by their exciting rookie, Isiah Ryder. The wind outside is howling, and this afternoon at the Garden, the Knicks will try and keep the Wolves from doing the same.